So Proverbs 29:18 says, where there is no vision, the people perish. And so, how does one find vision? What does it mean to perish? I once read that the root comes from a word that means something like hair in the wind. And if you can imagine hair blowing in the wind, trying to catch the hair that's blowing everywhere, when there's no vision, it's like your hair is going everywhere. And so our reactive instinct is to try to chase it, right? To try to find every single piece that's blowing all over the place. And when we do that, we're exhausted. We feel like we're exerting a lot of energy, and we're trying to catch it. We're trying to catch it, and we're not going anywhere, right? And so how do we do it? We have to find what's causing the wind, right? Maybe it's a window that's open. And so if the window's open is causing the hair to blow all over the place, one way to do it is to try to catch the hair. The other way is to close the window, right? And so we have to find the root cause of the chaos and eliminate or control it. And so life is kind of a balance between control and chaos, right? So what is it that's causing that whirlwind or that chaos in your life? Sometimes it's tough to see beyond our own nose, right? There's so much going on in our own head, so we're trapped in our mind just thinking about so many things, and our eyes are but a piece of our mind. And so when we close our eyes, we can actually tap into a little bit more of our mind, which is going to include our brain, and then it goes all the way down to our spine, and all of that is comprised, it all builds up into our mind. And so sometimes the first step isn't looking into the future and seeing what we could do, what we could have in the future. If we can't see that far, if we can't even get beyond our minds, sometimes the first thing to do is to close our eyes and look inward, right? Take a deep breath and just take a look at your current reality. See what your current reality is, and take a look at our past and see what got us here in the first place. Like, what's bothering me? What don't I like about my current reality? What do I feel like I have no control over? What causes me stress or anger or fear or disappointment? What have you tried and maybe given up on, right? Understand that before construction, before you can build anything, there has to be destruction, right? Right now in my neighborhood, across the lake, they're building new houses, and the first thing that they did before they even started to develop this is they started cutting down trees. A bunch of destruction, cut down trees, they made these piles, and then they burned the trees. They destroyed the trees. There was smoke everywhere, and then after all of that was gone, they had to clear all of that out, and then they began digging, and they destroyed the ground, and they broke it up, and then they even brought in other things, right? They brought in some kind of sand and some type of dirt mixture that they were able to then build a foundation for, to create the neighborhood, and then start building houses and start laying down foundations. And so before construction is destruction, and that's okay, right? Sometimes we have to destroy the negative thoughts and emotions that we're feeling for what's to come, right? Sometimes it's full, and we have to empty before we can fill with something new, right? We're never going to catch everything, right? We're never going to catch every single negative thought that comes into our mind. So this can sometimes create the feeling like no matter what I try, it's not going to work. But maybe it's not the effort. So sometimes it's the strategy, right? The first step is realizing that most of our problems are not problems at all, but they're reactions to situations happening in our own head. So how do we escape so that we can make some type of progress, right? Oftentimes we feel we're powerless. We stop even paying attention to the data, right? Maybe you're in debt, and do you even know how much, right? Do you know who you owe? Do you know what the interest rates are? This is just going to continue to get worse and worse and worse. Do you know what your next check looks like? Do you know what your income looks like? Do you know what your average spending in a month looks like? Take a look at the data. Maybe you're not as healthy as you would like to be, right? Do you weigh yourself? Do you know how many calories that you consume and what kind of calories? When was the last time that you were physically active, right? Do you have a regular sleep schedule? Do you know the building blocks for physical health, right? Fitness, nutrition, and sleep. Are you controlling what you can control? So write these things down, right? Get them out of your head. Get them out of your head and onto paper so that you can look at them. Which of these causes you the most pain? And how does that affect you? Like personally, how is that digging into you? And which would make the biggest impact overall on your life? So which of these maybe would be the easiest to begin making a change in? So now that we have one thing that we can improve on, now we need to focus. For me personally, I realized I wasn't as productive as I could be, right? I'd miss workouts sometimes because I woke up too late. I just hit snooze several times. I'd lay back in bed, and this led to lack of focus at work. I realized I needed to get my sleep under control. Why wasn't I on a regular sleep schedule? Well, it's because I work retail, and sometimes I get out at 8 o'clock if I haven't had dinner. By the time I close up shop and I get home, sometimes it's 9:30. Having dinner at 9:30. Usually watch something on TV while having dinner. Those are two things that negatively affect my sleep quality. And I know this. And then I'd go to sleep like around 11:30, midnight. I was actually falling asleep, right? And then I'd wake up and I wouldn't have enough time to work out. And I'd go straight to work. I'd get ready in the morning, go straight to work. And so those two things, eating too late, watching TV, negatively impacted my sleep, which then negatively impacted my fitness, which then negatively impacted my business. So the roadblock for me, the one big change that I could make personally to be able to make that shift was changing my nutrition. If I could just eat on time, if I could create a routine and a schedule so that I could eat dinner by 6, maybe 7, then close up shop, then get home, then decompress, talk about my day, regular evening routine, and get ready for bed, then I could get up early and I could take care of all the things that I needed to do in the morning time, take care of my fitness, get a good breakfast in before going to work, and have a productive day full of focus and energy. So I found out that when I got to bed earlier, right, when I ate early, I got to bed earlier, and then what ended up happening was that I would just go to sleep earlier. And by going to sleep earlier, we can only sleep so much. And so I would just wake up earlier on my own. And I didn't even have to set an alarm clock, right? And so I realized that getting all of that under control, rather than having different eating habits, having different sleep habits, all of that helped control so that I could then improve my fitness, my focus, and have more productive days at work. So now that we know the one thing, now we can create an ideal future to work towards, right? We will choose our vision, or we'll build someone else's vision, right? Most people don't need motivation, they need clarity. So what would your life look like if you had clarity on exactly what it is that you wanted to do with your day? If you didn't wake up tomorrow and just react to the first thing on your phone, and then react to the first thing that happened at work, and then react to your family and to your friends and everything else that's going on in your life. If you didn't live a life of reaction, instead you were proactive and you took control, what would your life look like then? See, vision is like walking into an open field and walking towards this giant mountain on a foggy night, right? It's scary. Like, most people won't even take the first step. We can't even see that the mountain exists. We don't know the danger. We don't know the possible risks. But we know it's there. We do know is that when we get to the top, we're going to have an incredible view. We're going to have a hell of a story to tell. Well, the feeling that's opposite of what we're feeling now, right? We'll be proud. We'll be grateful. We'll have clarity. We'll have peace. So what's your mountain? What does bliss look like for you? Well, sometimes before we can create the vision, let's shift gears a little bit and tap into the positive side of our memory, right? So I was just recently cleaning my kitchen. It was a complete mess, like dishes and random items all over the place. And I realized that I had a clean load in the dishwasher already. So before I could tackle cleaning up the mess, the first thing that I had to do was put the dishes in their place, the clean dishes in their place, clear all of that out to make room for the mess. So then I could begin to tackle the mess. And so then I could fill the dishwasher up and then get ready for dinner. So before we tackle cleaning up the mess, what are 5 things that you can be grateful for right now, right? Maybe 5 things that you're proud of. 5 accomplishments or blessings that you can think of. List them now. All right, don't continue until you've listed them. Maybe pause this. Right? Just take a moment and write these things down. What are 5 things that you could be grateful for right now? Right? Just slightly begin to shift our focus. Right? Now focus on how these things make you feel. Take a look at them. Is there a pattern on the things that you've chosen to highlight? Things that you're really grateful for? Because then we can begin to multiply those experiences if we are aware of the things that we find valuable in our own minds. Which of these is your strongest positive memory that you have right now? So now that you know what you're looking for, you'll begin to notice opportunities that you otherwise would have missed. As Kobe said, when you know what you're looking for, the world becomes your library. So carve out time each and every day to work towards your vision, right? We seek the reward of dopamine, right? We want that hit of dopamine, and we can receive dopamine whenever we're working towards a goal. We also receive dopamine whenever we're on social media, right? The cheap unearned dopamine hits of social media, of drugs, of alcohol, of porn, of TV, of sports, right? That leave us empty and feeling unworthy of the reward because we didn't actually work towards it. So the dopamine release in pursuit of a goal leaves us satisfied without the hangover of regret. So now that we know what we want and we see it clearly in our own mind, how does it feel to be there? Imagine you're there now. How does that feel? How close are you to achieving that? Suppose nothing happens. What if nothing happens? Or even gets worse? How would that affect you then? We must do something about it. So before we can have this, right? Before we can have whatever it is that we want to chase after, first we must do. There are certain actions that we must take, and the having is the result of the doing, of taking XYZ actions to that result. And before we can take these actions, we must become. We must shift our identity into who we want to be. Because there's a certain level of person who does the things and then has the things that you see in your mind. And the only reason why you don't have the things that you're wanting, that you're thinking of, is because you are not the person whose actions result in having those things that you want. And so in the meantime, this is from Myron Golden. In the meantime, it's either working for you or it's working on you. And so if you're not where you want to be, understand that's okay. Ask yourself, what is this season of my life trying to teach me? What lesson am I learning in this season? What is this preparing me for? Because you will continue to live the same day, the same week, the same month, the same year over and over and over again until you learn the lesson that this season is teaching you. And once you learn that lesson, then you become the type of person that can move past it and move on to the next challenge. Understand that there is no finish line. There is no the end. We will continue to develop and develop and develop until the day that we die. And so make sure that you're developing and learning things that you choose. You're building your vision. And so we can start with this today. We can start with listing all of the things that we don't like. We can start by listing all of the things that are causing us stress and anger now. List them out. Look at them. Which one would be the easiest for you to tackle? And which one would have the most impact on your life? Which of these is more important for you to take care of? And when you find out what that is, start creating a plan to take one step forward, one step forward, one step forward, one step forward. Because if our most recent memory is a failure, then we will continue to reproduce that into our future. As Joe Dispenza said, the familiar past becomes the predictable future. And so, if you're not happy with the way that you're headed now, you have a choice. Because if what's in your mind now is a failure, it doesn't take much for your next memory to be one towards progress, one step of success. Maybe you get in the gym and lift some weights. Now in the shower, what are you thinking about? That you just lifted weights. You took one step, so now your memory is that of success. Now your memory is that of progress. So what does that mean for your future? That means that you're going to take one more step in the future because that is your most recent memory. Maybe you're drowning in debt, right? Drowning in debt. What a terrible expression. Maybe you have debt that's piled up and you look at the debt and you pay one of them off. Now your most recent memory is that you paid your debt. This is who you are becoming. This is the person that you're becoming so that you can do the things that you need to do to have the things that you want to have. Whatever it is that you're looking to tackle, take one step today so that your memory of today is that of success and progress. And that will lead to a predictable future of the vision that you've created for yourself. So just want to remember a reminder, be the change.